This is the charts on Apple. They announce earnings next Thursday. This is the weekly chart, and there's a reason why price closed below the weekly bias level at 173. There's also a reason on the daily chart that prices have closed below the 200-day moving average, although it is pointing up. The main reason is the yield on the 10-year note hovers around 5%, which is causing instability in the bond market, which is causing volatility in the stock market. So before I give you my short-term target, don't take my word on what's going on. Let's listen into this video.
It's a perfect segue to you, Bryn, because you do employ a similar strategy at times to what Kevin does. How do you assess where tech is right now after, it was a pretty turbulent week, and now we have Apple in front of us, and then in a couple weeks' time we're going to get NVIDIA. But where are we today as we head into that next week?
January through the end of July, stocks were firmly in the driver's seat against bonds, and within stocks it was all about tech, right? We see all that about the 7 stocks outperforming the other 493. But then all of a sudden, as the bond market started to wake up and say, hey, maybe stocks are right and we're not going into a recession, and we have all of this fiscal spending that's now baking itself into the economy with the IRA, with the ARA, that the bond market all of a sudden woke up and agreed with stocks and now is uninverting. And so what you've been seeing, what we have all been seeing really since August, is the bond market's been firmly in control. And I think, Steve touched on it, but none of us focus on weekly bond auctions. It's just not something that we do. But you're continuing to get signs that, I'll say the 3 biggest players, the Fed, the Chinese, and hedge funds, are either sellers or short of treasuries. And so I think that until that settles down, that is going to be a headwind to stocks. I will say, though, when you look at the numbers that came out this week, Microsoft crushed it, not only in tone, but in delivery, as they're using OpenAI inside of the company. And then obviously, Copilot's just going to be huge. And I think Amazon is also a really great story of, has Andy Jassy finally got his sea legs? And so I think what I'm seeing is an idiosyncrasy building up with these individual names. And I think Apple probably is going to be more like a Facebook or a Google versus an Amazon or a Microsoft. So I think that we're going to still see dispersion of returns within these names. But until bonds settle down, I think that we all have to buckle up and know that volatility will remain high.
You, Weiss, bought Apple puts, right? You concerned about what's going to be delivered next week?
I am. I don't know how much of an impact the 15 launch will be, because it really happened, a lot of it after the quarter. But I just can't imagine that the commentary is going to be good with what's happening in China, right? We're seeing Huawei really pick up share, and the government came out and said, to the government entities, don't buy Apple phones. And we're seeing them shift their supply chain to India. There's a reason they're doing that. So
Tim Cook himself was over in China, we're told.
Exactly.
Recently, right?
Yeah, just a couple of weeks ago, if not last week. So I think it's kind of troubling. Plus, it's overvalued. And they have not shown over the last few years the growth. We're seeing also the growth in their non-hardware business, and of course they're asset light, but in services also declined. So I don't know, other than it's the ultimate market proxy because of its weighting, which albeit it's been reduced over the last year in the indices. To me, there's no there. It's a quality brand. It's a great brand. But, it doesn't deserve to be where it is.
Well,
so I think the odds favor a decline.
So when Apple reports next week, I do anticipate price selling off. Here's my target. This is the monthly trend line connecting the pivot highs. Typically when you have a breakout of a trend line, you usually at times retest before price moves higher. Therefore, I'm looking at a price target, short-term price target, roughly down at 160. If I wanted to fine-tune that a little bit, Looking for a price target between 160 and 162.5. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Please like the video.